Playing Ravenswatch makes you feel like everything you know about fairy tales from your childhood is a lie, because let me tell you, if the Little Red Riding Hood from this game was canonical, then Grandma most definitely would never have been eaten by the big bad wolf. Ravenswatch is a role-playing video game, fighting game, shooter game, adventure, early access game that was developed by Aztec Games. Ravenswatch takes place in some kind of fictional world where fairy tale heroes are fending off an encroaching force of powerful nightmare creatures. That's about all I could find. If you want to know the stories of all the fairy tale creatures you play as, then ask your mommy to tell you a story before you go to bed or something, because I'm not gonna. The story barely plays a role in the game and there's no cutscenes. Yo, bottom talent's broken though! Ravenswatch is playable with a controller, or mouse and keyboard. You can only play on PC through Steam currently, but according to this Reddit user who is probably on the development team, there will be a console version for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and the Switch, eventually. Will there be cross-progression when it releases on console? Who the hell knows? Not Google. Anyway, here's the menu settings if you're weird and care about that sort of thing. While I'm reading this line, you should subscribe because we put time into the grind. That would be sublime. Graphics-wise, the game gives me some strong Hades vibes. I can't really complain about it. There's definitely better looking games out there, but for a $20 game, it's not too shabby. Just look at all the particle effects going off and how there's leaves falling from the trees. It's little details like that that liven up the atmosphere. Can you find something bad to say about it? If so, go argue in the comments with each other and boost the algorithm, please? You can run this game with a medium to low-end gaming PC, with the requirements being a 970 GTX, and it's real small at 3 gigs, so that's cool. A typical run of Ravenswatch goes like this. Choose your character, ready up, and get in the game. Then, figure out the most efficient way to path to every little icon on the map like you're playing jungle in League of Legends. You do that for the allotted time and continually make your character stronger. Then, once the time runs out, you're forced to fight the map boss. If you succeed, you go to the next chapter, which is set in a new map. There are currently only 3 chapters and 4 difficulties that you unlock by beating the previous difficulties. Starting out on the first difficulty, the game is kind of hard until you get some better talents and stuff. Beat all the chapters and check your stats so you can brag about doing more damage than your friends. The game is a roguelike, so as you run around the map, you level up and complete the little icons, which will usually grant you a talent, item, or upgrade for your talents or items. Usually, you go up to the node, look at the guys guarding it, slaughter them relentlessly, then get your reward. Sometimes, there will be a little twist, like with the Grimoire, where you have to kill all the guys in a certain time limit. There's fast travel nodes, which look like a bunch of ravens flying around. There's health nodes, which you click on to heal everyone and gain max HP. Break a crystal like it's a guy who owes you money's decap, so you can collect these little shard things to spend at the vendor guy in the starting area to upgrade your items and talents and some other nonsense. You should get the gist by now. Run around, get notes, power up until you fight the boss, and don't die, because if your teammate is unable to pick you up within the set time, you have to spend a feather in order to resurrect, and you only have a limited amount of feathers per run, depending on the difficulty. I want to add that solo play is possible, but you gotta play slower and really pay attention to dodging things, because there's no friends to revive you, and every time you go down it costs a feather to revive. Then there's the playable characters. There are currently only 8 characters, 4 of which you need to unlock by playing different characters. They plan on releasing a new one in Q3 2024 along with full release. Here's the roadmap for anyone that cares, and I'd imagine they'll add even more characters as long as the game does well. As mentioned earlier, all the characters are from fairy tales, so their ability set will kind of line up with their specific fairy tale, but badassified. For example, Scarlet is supposed to be Little Red Riding Hood if she were the ultimate assassin of big bad wolves, because she herself is also a big bad wolf. She's got combo points that you build up to enhance her abilities. She's got a stab. She's got a stab that is also a dash. She can drop a bomb on the ground that explodes and deals damage. She's got the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter that makes her invisible and drops all aggro. And her ultimate causes her to whip out a big old boomstick in order to turn the ass of whoever is in front of her into grass. The twist on Scarlet, though, is that there's a day and night cycle in-game. Each lasts about 5 minutes. During the day, Scarlet is Scarlet with the ability set I just mentioned, but at night, the beast comes out and she turns into a werewolf with an entirely separate ability set. The werewolf is more of a drain tank playstyle because you get a better defense ability that heals you based on damage dealt for a few seconds, and you're just better at man fighting in general. As you play each character more and more, you unlock different talents for them, which is a neat way of doing progression. Wow, look at all them talents! For enemy variety, there's trash mobs, special mobs, mini-bosses, and bosses. Trash mobs will generally just walk at you and hit you, or shoot you from afar. Special mobs usually have some kind of ability, like the hook guy that throws a hook at you and pulls you to him like you're a damn trout. Or the spitty, gross guy that vomits at you. If you get caught in his bile, you'll respawn in a while, so dodge it. Mini-bosses are like bosses, but mini. They usually have a few mechanics you gotta pay attention to, and their HP pool is a bit less than a full boss. And lastly, there's chapter bosses. The first one is Tentacle Guy, who shoots little projectiles at you, does a big ol' slam the ground and one-shot anyone in the Reddit area attack, tries to smite you with the power of God and anime, and he has tentacles that slam in a direction, which turn into an expanding damage zone upon death. Kill the tentacles to stun the boss, and then introduce his soft soft, fleshy body to pain while he's incapacitated to do extra damage, rinse and repeat until he goes back to Cthulhu's garage or wherever the hell he came from. Ravenswatch is a strictly PvE game, though a PvP mode would be amazing in my opinion. The game is great if you have friends to play with, but it usually takes a while to find a full group of randoms through matchmaking queue. Max group size is 4 and there's no in-game communication as of right now, so you can't call your teammates shitters, unfortunately. The only potential griefing I can think of would not be picking somebody up when they're down and purposely wasting feathers or just like killing yourself over and over again. There are no cosmetics or pay to win. I imagine at least cosmetics will be added if the game takes off at some point, and I'd hope they don't add pay to win and turn it into some dogshit mobile game. The only bug I ran into is that if you sit in the matchmaking lobby for too long with your friends, it will just kick people out randomly, which is mildly annoying, but not game breaking. Overall, if the developers can get this game released soon and start adding more chapters and maybe some other game modes, bosses, node types, talents, and characters, and just other things to do, this game could be amazing. As of right now, it's decent for probably 100 to 200 hours, and it would start to get boring because it's just the same 3 chapters of bosses over and over and over and over and over. The difficulties and different heroes help mitigate the monotony of it, but eventually it will get boring. Aside from that, though, the game feels good to play. There's a lot of different enemies that do different things, and you actually have to pay attention and dodge things, or you're gonna lose feathers faster than a chicken getting hit by a baseball bat. If the developers actually continue updating this game and they do it right, they could have a real gem on their hands. On our patented 0 to 1 scale, we rate this game a 0.74 out of 1, because there's not a whole lot to do which can make it get stale fast, even with 8 characters and 4 difficulties, and multiplayer takes forever to get into unless you have friends to play with. If the developers continue adding more good content, this game could easily be a 0.89 out of 1. If you liked this no bullshit review of Ravenswatch, please peck that like button, fly on over to that subscribe button, and comment your favorite fairy tale protagonist and why they'd beat all the other fairy tale protagonists in a fistfight. Thank you, good night, and don't let the bedbugs bite.